In this video, I'm gonna add the level 4 spells to the Heroes 3 spells tier list. The first one is Meteor Shower, an earth spell for which the troops in a target hex and adjacent hexes take 25x power plus 25 for the basic effect, then 25x power plus 50, and 25x power plus 100. So it's pretty strong even if you don't have earth magic, even though the cost is higher. But still, it's a really good spell. This is what Fireball, let's say, should have been, let's say, right? Because Fireball deals like no damage whatsoever. But here, yeah, Meteor Shower is quite strong. Or at least if, I would say that if other schools of magic would have had this, then they would have been a bit more balanced or something like that. Let's say if water magic would have had, let's say, like a blizzard, or fire would have had rain of fire or something like that, just like in, let's say, Warcraft 3, then it would have been more interesting. But just earth magic got the best spells, and Meteor Shower is a very incredible one. But anyway, Meteor Shower, super strong. You can think of it as if it would be a lightning bolt, but AoE damage. Sort of, like it's still 25x power, something like that. Anyway, and it's earth magic, so you can get even that magic number to go up, like plus 100 or something like that for the expert level. That's pretty good. So I'd say it's a super incredible spell. Definitely A tier, potentially the best one in A tier. Even, I guess, of course, anti-magic prevents the damage from any spell. Well, actually, the advanced anti-magic prevents Meteor Shower damage as well, but I would still put it at an A. I don't quite think it's an S, but because it just affects like 7 hexes and stuff like that, so it's not, and the damage, I mean, on average, you would hit maybe like 2 or 3 guys, maybe if they really cluster, maybe 4, but that's pretty much it. So in total, it would be like 100x power, something like that, total damage. That's very strong, but maybe not quite S tier. But anyway, A plus seems very good. Next one is Armageddon. And School of Fire Magic got quite a lot of spells in this tier. But anyway, Armageddon, all troops take 40x power plus 30 points of damage. I think it's 40x power. It might be 50, but I'm not so sure. It might be a Horn of the Abyss thing, but I haven't played so far. And the cost is quite high if you don't have fire magic, but it goes down just a little bit if you have it. Anyway, then 40x power plus 60 and 40x power plus 120. Now the thing is, Armageddon is kind of hard to use, unfortunately. And in Heroes 2, for example, Armageddon has a level 5 spell, and it deals 50x power to everybody. So that's kind of interesting. Here, it has been nerfed a little bit, which is kind of interesting. I know I always make the parallel to Heroes 2, but that's what I really grew up with. And Heroes 3, I've only played it this year for 100-something hours so far. So I still need to play it, but so far I'm pretty impressed by it. And but I'm pretty sure that if in a parallel universe I would have played Heroes 3 the first, I would have complained about Heroes 2 not being the same. Or, oh, what do you mean? You've upgraded or buffed the Armageddon? It makes no sense, or something like that. But here I'm complaining about it being nerfed. But anyway, whatever. It's kind of hard to use. You could synergize with let's say an advanced anti-magic or something if you really want to protect some dude, and then you Armageddon, I guess you could do it, or with protection for fire. That could be nice as well, but it's really hard to use. Like, I legit think that in 100 hours of playing the original campaign so far, I've used Armageddon once, and even that for testing purposes, or at least to see the animation. But other than that, Armageddon is very difficult to use because everybody's going to be affected, and in order to protect them, you need quite a bit of setup. Or it would be like a very win more spell, let's say. Like if you already have Black Dragons, which are immune to all spells, you're kind of probably winning by quite a lot at that point, so you might as well Armageddon. But do you need it? Probably not. So I'm not sure how to rank this one. I'd say Armageddon, it is a nice idea. Obviously, you could use it even, if you're losing, I guess you could Armageddon just to drop the nuclear bomb, just to somewhat damage the enemies. You know how the AI, for example, just before fleeing, they shoot a magic arrow or a lightning bolt or meteor shower, stuff like that. You could Armageddon if you wanted to, but you lose the hero for sure if you do that. Yeah, it's an interesting spell. It deals quite a bit of damage, quite devastating, but because it's so hard to use, I can't put it too high up there. I would say probably, I don't know. It could be even a B from my point of view. It's really situational, very hard to use. It's kind of a wasted slot in that level 4 Mage Guild most of the time. I'm kind of disappointed to see Armageddon, unless I'm specifically, let's say, dungeon or something. So, that being said, I'd say, damn, man, is it really weaker than Magic Arrow? It's less usable, sure, but whoa, damn. Well. Maybe, let's say, if I'm gonna be as kind as possible, maybe above Magic Arrow. Oh, damn. Man, that seems crazy to put it below Magic Arrow, but honestly, yeah, maybe. Maybe even below the spell, to be honest. Yeah, it's just too unusable. Alright. Next one is Clone. So this is a water spell that creates a duplicate of a target allied troop of level 1 through 5. The duplicate can attack, but is dispelled if it receives any damage. The advanced level lets you clone a tier 6 creature, and the expert lets you clone anybody. Alright, well, that's kind of interesting. Well, anybody that is not immune to magic as well. So clone is kind of an interesting spell. There's a spell in Heroes 2 called Mirror Image, and that is a level 5 spell. So here, it has been nerfed again, in a sense. And also, you need the expert effect to clone tier 7 creatures. Now, clone is kind of interesting because it really depends on the timing of it, I'm pretty sure. Like, for example, let's say, what is the best case scenario for clone? I would say, let's assume I'm a temple, right? And I have titans, which are pretty fast, so chances are they have the first shot in a turn, right? And I would have some slower units like an iron golem, let's say. And there are a bunch of ifs here, but bear with me. Let's say I don't cast a spell yet in this turn. And I wait for my iron golem to get its action, right? And the iron golem is pretty slow. So if the iron golem is the slowest guy, so after its action, the next turn starts, or if somebody is slow, an enemy is slower than my iron golem, but they're not ranged, or if they're melee, they're not within the range of the vicinity of, let's say, the Titan, okay, and the enemy hero did already cast a spell, so as I've said, too many ifs, but still. If that happens, then I can clone at that point when I'm controlling the iron golem, I clone the Titan, then I act with the iron golem, then the clone gets a shot in this turn. Next turn starts, I get control of the original Titan, I shoot with him, and also the clone shoots again, right? With the enemy not being able to do anything about it until afterwards. That is the best case scenario, I would say. That's with the ranged guy. With a melee dude, I think it's even more difficult because if I clone a melee guy and I attack with him, I need to either make sure that I attack somebody that would die from my attack, so there would be no retaliation, or I have already blinded, with an expert blind, by the way, so there's no retaliation, and I attack that dude with the clone, such that it won't be dispelled, and then the enemy hero or whatever, the enemy creatures will have to solve this problem by attacking the clone somewhat. Or even, yeah, if you wait for the slowest guy and something like that, just like in the previous example, that's even better, but even more difficult to pull off. Anyway, so clone, kind of interesting as well, has many drawbacks. At least, good thing is that it's not hypnotizable. Yes, it gets dispelled if it gets hit by anything, right? Even 1 damage dispels it, but that doesn't mean it has 1 health. So that's one thing to consider here as well. Yeah, it's not hypnotizable. That's pretty okay. Or at least I haven't tested it yet, but in Heroes 2, that's how it works. I'm assuming it works in the same way. It's not hypnotizable. If it would be, correct me if I'm wrong, but still. Another thing to consider, again, I haven't tested this out in Heroes 3 because it's more difficult to play hot seat and do all this stuff than in Heroes 2, I think. But in Heroes 2, for example, an interesting thing is that if I clone some dude, right, and a Vampire Lord attacks my clone, and the clone gets dispelled just by 1 attack, right, the game considers the Vampire Lord to deal the maximum health that that clone or the original had. Meaning that the Vampire Lord can heal itself immensely, even though it deals whatever damage. Like if the Vampire Lord can almost fully, depending on the stack size, but still, it can heal itself tremendously if it just dispels the clone. Whatever the damage dealt would have been, because it's considered that it dealt all the health of that stack. That's kind of ridiculous. Also, clone, I'm pretty sure if you clone somebody and if you fight necromancers, let's say, or Necropolis, the Necropolis faction, and you cast a clone and it dies, and you lose that battle, necromancy considers that stack of clones to be, it converts that stack of clones into actual skeletons. That's kind of bad because it's so easy to get more skeletons by just, dealing 1 damage? That's kind of bad. But anyway, these are interesting to consider, but they're not that important, I wouldn't say. Anyway, clone, I kind of like it. It's very interesting. Another thing here. If the original disappears, the clone disappears as well. That's kind of not good. And also, you can't clone a clone, or you can't clone the same creature 2 times. You can't have 2 clones of the same creature at the same time. Even though in Golden Era, for example, you can do that, which is kind of broken. I don't know. I think they will change it. But anyway, clone. It's an interesting spell for sure for water magic, but it's difficult to justify using it. You need to be very sure, and it's kind of situational. So because of this, it can't be too high, but I kind of like it. I feel like it's a super interesting, fun spell for sure. But how good is it? Well, how usable is it? Well, let's just put it at a B, let's say. It's somewhat situational, but it's not as bad as Fireball and Frost Ring. Earthquake might offer more value more often, let's say. But Clone, yeah, it kind of depends. But let me say, damn, is it even worse than Forgetfulness, for example? Like, would you, or even Armageddon, would you use Armageddon more often than Clone? Oh, damn, really? I mean, yeah. Another thing to consider, I forgot about this. Clone doesn't retain any spells that the original has. Meaning that if the original has haste and you clone that, the clone doesn't have haste. But also that means that if the original is blinded, and let's assume that you don't have a cure, you don't have a solution for that. No cure, no dispel, no anti-magic or something like that. If you clone that blinded guy, the clone is not blinded. Now, that's kind of interesting. I don't know exactly how often would you profit from this, but that's interesting as well. It has many different situations, this one. But anyway, so clone, okay. Maybe more usable than even Armageddon, but that's as far as I would go, honestly. I mean, it's even if it sounds kind of stupid, I would say that clone, best case scenario, no, not best case scenario, but more often than not, it's almost as if you force a good morale or a good luck, but probably good morale, let's say, because best case, I mean, most of the time you would deal as much damage as the original would deal, or even less than that if the original has a bless or has a buff on it, and the clone doesn't even have that. So if you get one shot, one attack with the clone, and then it gets dispelled, it's almost as if you forced a morale effect, right? A good morale, in a sense, because you have it's almost as if that original guy attacked again, I think. Like, you could think of it like that, in a sense. So that's not incredible value necessarily, unless you really are in those situations in which you can actually get 2 shots, or you force the enemy into wasting a shot or a spell to dispel the clone. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, but anyway. Or, let's say, you clone somebody that doesn't allow enemy retaliations. That's also interesting. Like cloning a vampire, it can attack anybody because there's no retaliation anyway. So that's interesting as well. Or, yeah, a Hydra or something like that. That's kind of interesting. But that being said, clone seems fine at a B plus almost, but compared to the other ones, I don't know. Maybe here is reasonable. Next one is Counter-Strike. This is part of air magic, and the target allied troop can retaliate against 1 additional attack per round. Then the advanced effect can retaliate against 2 additional attacks per round, so it has 3 counterattacks in total, and then expert effect is a mass advanced Counter-Strike in a sense. Okay, I don't think this is a great spell, because I've had it many times, but even though I tried so hard to get the best value of it, I don't think it's that strong, because it's almost as if you turn it into a pseudo Griffin, because that has unlimited retaliations, I'm pretty sure. But the AI, the enemy, needs to attack that creature that has Counter-Strike, unless you Counter-Strike everybody, in order for you to get the maximum value. Now, the thing is, there are still better spells out there. Like, you need to wait for a subsequent turn, like a later turn, to consider Counter-Strike. Like if I already have Bless, Mass Bless, or let's say Mass Haste, Mass Bless, Prayer, Mass Prayer, stuff like that, all the buffs imaginable, Bloodlust, Precision even, stuff like that, and then I might consider, okay, let me do Counter-Strike as well. But at that point, like, dude, I don't I don't think it's that strong, unfortunately. It's actually kind of a bad air spell, I would say. Maybe against enemy camps, it would make sense if you attack with like one creature only. Let's say I put an Ancient Behemoth on one of my secondary heroes that just so happens to have Wisdom as well, I guess, and I put Counter-Strike on that one singular target for the enemies, and then they have no choice but attack the guy, and it will retaliate more times. But it kind of feels bad. It would have worked well if there would have been, like, let's say, a taunt spell, like in Olden Era, for example. But or you could, I guess, best case scenario, you could berserk some guys, and we'll see berserk later, but you know it. Anyway, berserk some guys, force them into attacking the nearest creature, and that creature has Counter-Strike already, so maybe like that you could get some benefit from it, but how? I don't, nah, it's just too much. I think Counter-Strike is relatively unusable, I would say. Honestly, it's just a wasted slot. I don't like it at all. Counter-Strike is just pretty bad. Okay, so Counter-Strike kind of unusable, I would say. Yeah. I don't feel comfortable putting it at a D necessarily, so maybe a C, D plus or C minus, something like that. It's pretty bad, like more unusable than even Protection from Fire, I would say. Like, I just legit never use it. I'm sorry, I don't, please let me know if you think otherwise, but kind of bad. Anyway, then it's Town Portal. Earth magic again. Adventure map teleport. Casting hero is teleported to the nearest allied town, but must be unoccupied. 300 movement points are expended when the spell is cast. Now, I don't know exactly this number, like how many movement points you have. I have no idea. But anyway, it consumes a little bit. But the advanced effect is the game changer, because you can teleport to any allied town and you can choose which one. Okay, with no visiting hero, of course, but that's easily solvable. And the expert effect just consumes less movement points or fewer movement points, so that means you can use it potentially more often. Town Portal is insane. It's potentially one of the best spells in the game. Now, it's interesting, again, like in Heroes 2, these are two spells combined. In Heroes 2, you have a level 4 spell, which is Town Gate, which has the basic effect here, but then you have Town Portal, which is a level 5 spell, and it has the advanced effect, or expert. So, yeah, Town Portal is a game changer. Once you have it, if the enemy doesn't have it, that's ridiculously strong. I don't even know, like, in Olden Era, for example, you have a guaranteed Town Portal, and I'm not sure how that's going to work, because if everybody has a guaranteed Town Portal, it might be a shit show in PvP. Now, I haven't played PvP in Heroes 3, but I think, I've heard that Town Portal is banned. And if that's true, I think it makes sense, because it's just too ridiculous. But against the AI, it feels very good to use Town Portal for sure. Anyway, Town Portal, one of the best spells in the game. It breaks everything, I would say, and it's a major advantage. If you get it, you're in a very good spot, especially since you can use it in so many ways. You can flee from some guy really quickly, even with the basic effect, of course, but you can hire troops so much easier, and you can even get away with not even upgrading some dwellings, only having, let's say, 3 rampart towns. Only one of them has all the upgrades, and the other ones have only the normal dwellings, which means that you can just Town Portal first to the unupgraded versions, get all the units, and then you teleport finally to the one that has the upgrades and upgrade everything, and then get all the army imaginable just like that in just one turn. That's insanely strong, of course. Anyway, Town Portal, one of the best spells in the game, top 3 for sure. I would put it, well, it's kind of nonsensical because it's a adventure spell. Comparing it to combat spells kind of feels ridiculous, but Town Portal is ridiculous. Like, with it, obviously, if you don't have a sizable army or you don't have great spells and stuff like that, yeah, it's not going to save you. Your Town Portal is not going to win a fight for you, but it's ridiculous, and it offers so many advantages. It's potentially better than slow, I would say, but in the top 3, I think the order is not necessarily that important. It's still super strong. Next one is Frenzy. So the target troop's attack rating is increased by 100% of the troop's defense rating, and its defense rating is reduced to 0. Okay, and the advanced effect, 150% of the troop's defense is converted into attack, and then 200% of the defense rating goes to attack. So this is an epic spell, I would say. Really interesting. Like, you concentrate, it's like one of those anime scenes in which somebody just concentrates their whole power or something like that for one final ridiculous strike, like I don't know, let's say final gets Gatencho. If you know, you know. But anyway, but you don't lose all your powers or anything like that. But anyway, Frenzy. The drawback of it is that you have 0 defense, so after you use the Frenzy, you're gonna be vulnerable until that creature's action in the next turn. Okay, I thought, you know, of course, obviously, if you would lose that disadvantage, right, after attacking, that would have meant that even the retaliation wouldn't be too strong. But like this, you're pretty vulnerable, so that's kind of, it could be like a gamble or something like that, but it could work very well for you. Thing is, this is kind of epic, but it's more difficult to use, I would say, but it's super strong. And especially if you combine this, let's say, with good luck, which happened to me very recently. For example, I had 100-something sharpshooters, let's say, and I used Frenzy on them, right? And I got, I don't even know, like 70 attack or something like that, which is huge. 70 attack. I shot somebody and I got good fortune as well, even though I had like 1 luck. So 4% chance, 4.2% chance to get lucky. I got lucky again as well. So and imagine the devastation as well, because I'm pretty sure you, with 70 attack against whatever, most of the time you get like probably the maximum. I don't even know what the maximum attack, what the cap of bonus damage would be. But anyway, you get so much value from this. But it's really a gamble. You're vulnerable. It costs quite a lot. And yeah, you need to be very careful with this. Obviously, well, I was thinking, how could you maybe mitigate that? But it really doesn't work very well, because if you frenzy some dude, let's say, you attack with them and then you try to cure in the next turn, I mean, you need to make sure that the timing is similar to that clone example. You know, maybe you wait for the slowest guy, and if that guy, even though he's slow, he might deal a tremendous amount of damage, like let's say a Dendroid soldier or something like that, or some niche example like that. Maybe you use Frenzy, you attack, you deal a tremendous amount of damage, and then the next turn starts and you might cure just if you're super paranoid about that 0 defense. But that's, I don't know, I think you just accept that you're going to be vulnerable. Anyway, Frenzy, pretty epic. Quite an interesting addition. This doesn't exist in Heroes 2, and this is really a really fun spell, I would say. But how good is it? Could it be a game changer? Maybe. Sometimes if you have, like if you Frenzy a super high level unit, if with that Frenzy it deals so much damage to, let's say, a melee dude, and the devastation would be so high that the retaliation would be weak, even if it's against 0 defense, it could work very well. Especially if you also feel lucky and you get either good luck or good morale as well. That's pretty nice. So, but that's kind of very rare, because those chances are not too high. Frenzy, kind of good. I like it. But, where should I put it? Well, definitely below Curse and Bless, I would say, because these offer tremendous extra damage compared to that expected value, as I've said. Frenzy... Oh man, it's so difficult to rank this. Damn. Maybe lesser than Bloodlust, because Mass Bloodlust affects everybody. If you add up all the extra damage that you get in a turn, maybe it doesn't exceed Frenzy's extra damage, but still. Damn. Maybe here? Or even, is it lower than Stone Skin and these guys? Probably not. Nah, here. Let's say A in the middle could seem fine. The next one is Prayer. Target allied troops' attack, defense, and speed ratings are increased by 2. Then target, it increases to 4 for the advanced effect, and then it's Mass Prayer. This is a redeeming spell, let's say, for the water magic. This is quite strong, I would say, because it's a combination of a pseudo, let's say, haste, pseudo bloodlust, and precision all in one, and a pseudo Stone Skin. So it's almost as good as them, but not quite. It's like almost pizza, but you know, it's just, yeah. Prayer, pretty strong, I would say. Wait a second. Right, so Prayer, pretty strong. Like Haste, for example, increases speed by 5. Prayer, 4. Hey, that's pretty good. That's very, very close. And also, there's a drawback, but also a benefit here. Drawback is, you know, Haste counters slow. If somebody slows me and I haste myself, then the slow goes away. Prayer doesn't do that, actually. I'm pretty sure. Like, if I'm slowed and I prayer, it doesn't, it's not the same. So you can still be a little bit hasted if the slow didn't affect. I mean, if your speed, if 50% of your speed is less than 4, then prayer is going to exceed what the slow did, but it doesn't dispel it, so that's kind of bad anyway. But the good thing is you can combine it with haste. You can haste and then prayer as well, and that's a tremendous advantage for sure, but it might be overkill as well, even though at least overkill in terms of initiative, but not in terms of actual movement, because sometimes, if a very slow unit gets so much speed, extra speed, like 9 extra speed, just from the spells. Imagine having a cape of velocity as well. that's incredible. Imagine a dwarf moving so much as well. Is that tremendous value? Probably not, but still, it's something. Prayer is one of the best water spells out there, and it's quite nice. I like the fact that water has an almost haste, let's say, and also the attack and defense, that's not too bad, right? Increasing it by 4 and increasing both by 4, that's pretty good. But unfortunately, because of how the game works, you don't benefit at the same time from both, let's say, right? Because if you attack, you have +4 attack, and then the retaliation might be weaker if you have 4 defense, but it's not like you get like +8 or something like that, obviously not. But it's still very, very good. So yeah, prayer, pretty strong, I would say, especially, well, of course, the mass effect is the thing, but you need to go for water magic, but I would justify it specifically for prayer, yeah, for sure. So that's kind of nice. I would say, well, I would focus more on the speed added, because 4 speed is pretty close to haste, and haste is so high up there, but also it has the advantage of being an air magic spell, and air magic has so many superstars in that team. Water magic, well, it's kind of like, I don't know, what analogy would I put? Like, let's say you have a superstar soccer player like Holland, but he would somehow play at Charlton Athletic. I don't know about that, man. Or, I don't know, basketball. Let's say LeBron James plays for, God, I don't even know what's a lower tier team, but some random team from Europe. I don't know about that, but still, superstar, but the teammates are kind of weak, most of them. But I would say, like, prayers, dude, could it be an S? Prayer. I mean, it doesn't dispel slows. That's kind of bad. Or at least I think so. I need to really test it, but we'll see about that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to assume that it doesn't dispel slow. So that's kind of interesting. Prayer. Okay, let's see. Let's just think about it. I would say it offers so much advantage because of that initiative. So I would put it like barely hitting the S- or something like that. Just because it's water magic, I would downgrade it from the S tier, but having 4 speed, like if haste would have had 4 speed, it would still be there. You know what I mean? Prayer, like A+, honestly. I don't know if this is controversial or anything like that, but prayer is pretty good. The next one is Sorrow. The target enemy troops morale rating is reduced by 1, then 2, and then it's a mass effect. Sorrow is the counterpart to Mirth. Now, the same considerations. How paranoid are you of the enemy's morale? Like, even if the enemy has 3 morale, so 12.6% chance to get an extra attack. Okay, well, do you really cast Sorrow for 12 mana, even if you have Earth Magic, right? 12 mana. You cast Sorrow just to bring that percentage down from 12.6 to 4.2? Really? Is that such a problem? I mean, it could be, but the chance is kind of low, right? On average, what is 12.6? That means like 1 in 8 attacks, sort of. 1 in 8 attacks on average, of course. That's what the expected value would be, I would say. 1 in 8 attacks. I guess, but I think the best value is probably to reduce if the enemy has specifically 2 morale, 2, 1, or 0, then Sorrow makes sense, because from 2, you make it impossible for them to get good morale, and from 1 or 0, you turn them into having bad morale as a possibility, but it's not that high. It's just 4.2% or something, or 8.4. That's not that much, but it might be more usable than Mirth, but I don't see myself casting this too often. Unless I've already, as I've said, cast mass slow, maybe a blind, maybe, I don't know, many other things like mass haste, prayer, whatever the hell, meteor shower, maybe sometimes the chain lightning, stuff like that, and maybe, okay, and the 8th turn, I might cast Sorrow as well, just to win even more. But damn, I don't think it's strong. I would put it maybe because it's an offensive one, maybe above Mirth, but that's kind of it. I don't see much value for this, but I don't know. I might be wrong. I have no idea. Next one is Fire Shield. 20% of the hand-to-hand damage inflicted on the target allied troop is counter-inflicted on the attackers of the troop. Then 25% for the advanced and 30% for the expert effect. Cost is relatively high, but still. This is kind of an interesting spell, I would say, but it's relatively situational. I kind of like this idea to reflect the damage taken, especially if you're fighting against very huge stacks. Let's say you could go for Fire Shield just to try to deal more damage than your troop would have ever dealt against that. And also, I don't think if the enemy has an answer magic on them and they attack me and I have a Fire Shield, they're not immune to that, right? I don't think so. So that's kind of nice. 30%, that's pretty strong, I would say. But let me think about the best case scenario for this, like to be as charitable as possible to these spells. What if you combine it with a Frenzy? Let's say I Fire Shield, but it's kind of a lot of setup, but still. Let's say I Fire Shield some dude, and then next turn, I Frenzy him, I attack somebody, I'm going to have the vulnerability of having 0 defense, but since I have a Fire Shield, that means that if somebody counterattacks me, or whatever, they retaliate against me, and I have 0 defense, yes, they deal way more damage, because it's just all their attack is contributing to that damage modifier, right? It's 5% bonus damage per point of attack. So if I have 0 defense, imagine how much extra damage they deal. But since they deal extra damage, Fire Shield deals a ton more as well. Could work, but it's kind of iffy, I would say. But Fire Shield kind of makes sense if as an exploit against the AI, because the AI, for whatever reason, I don't even know why, but many times I've seen that the AI favors attacking the tier 1 creatures for no good reason whatsoever. Like, they attack the centaurs, even though there's the unicorn's right there, man. But no, they attack the centaur. Maybe, like, my suspicion is just that the AI considers how much damage would the retaliation deal, and then sometimes they might just go for the easy target or something like that, but it's kind of a waste of turn. But anyway, let's say that happens, right? And I know for sure that my centaur is going to be a bait or something, or my goblin, stuff like that. Okay, well, I might Fire Shield just to bait the AI into attacking it. Those creatures are pretty weak anyway, so they might sustain, the enemy might deal a ton of damage to them, so the Fire Shield will have a tremendous value as well. Maybe, as far as I've seen, you can even Fire Shield the war machines. Would you do that? I don't know. It's kind of a fun spell, but it's not really optimal, I wouldn't say. Like, when the hell would this be such a game changer? I don't know. But anyway, Fire Shield, kind of interesting. Again, maybe against enemy camps, because they're kind of stupid. You could bait them. Like, you send somebody in front, like an ancient behemoth, you Fire Shield him as well. Has a ton of damage anyway, so they might tank that damage very well, and also reflects back the damage. Like, I'm pretty sure the Effete Sultan has a basic level Fire Shield, so, or advanced, no, it's basic, 20%, right? And I've seen that, yeah, I've sent an Effete Sultan in front, and a lot of creatures attacked him, and essentially, once I looked at the damage, I was like, well, if I add these up, like 20 damage here, 19 damage there, whatever, it kind of adds up to a lot, I would say. Is it more, does it exceed, let's say, a direct damage like Lightning Bolt? Or not Lightning Bolt, but let's say, could it, like, let's compare it to, let's say, a Destroy Undead or Death Ripple, because these affect all the enemies. If, let's say, somehow all the enemies attack one dude, and everybody suffers some fire damage, would that exceed a Death Ripple? Probably. I mean, it really depends. Damn, I don't know. But it seems kind of situational, but it could be fun to use it. It's not the greatest spell out there, but I kind of like it, and it could be fun. So, damn, Fire Shield, well. Better than Counter-Strike, that's for sure. But then, more usable than these guys, potentially? Yes, maybe. Better than Hypnotize, because that's kind of ridiculous. Disrupting Ray, Death Ripple, dude, Force Field, damn. What a meme tier this is, like C. Let's just say potentially better than Destroy Undead sometimes. Could that make sense? Maybe. Best case scenario, maybe you attack I don't know, some guys like, yeah, ancient behemoths or something like that, and they reflect their damage very well. Or you even, if the AI is relatively smart, you might even deter the enemy from attacking your fire shielded guy. So that means 100% protection in a sense. Potentially, okay. Or if you combine it with a resurrection or something, like, somebody's going to be a target. Fire shield, it deals damage because it reflects that. And then it dies, and then you resurrect it. Unfortunately, the resurrect doesn't retain the spells on the creature before dying. Even though in Heroes 2, that's how it works. Here, not so much. Kind of interesting, but well. Maybe a C+. Next one, Chain Lightning. The second air spell in the level 4 category. So basic effect, lightning bolt strikes target troop for 40x power plus 25, and the bolt strikes 4 troops. So it just jumps, and with every jump the damage is halved. So it's essentially like 40x power, 20x, 10x, and then 5x, essentially, plus that magic number that gets halved as well. So anyway, advanced effect is slightly more damage, but it affects 5 troops, and then the expert effect has way more damage, like plus 100, and strikes 5 troops. This is a super damaging spell. It's quite nice to just start the turn blowing everybody up, and especially that first target. That's the thing, because as an analogy, even if it's kind of stupid, but that's my point of reference, an ice bolt or a magic arrow. First target, 2 ice bolts, in a sense, kinda. So 40x power. Then it's 1 ice bolt, 1 magic arrow, half a magic arrow, and if you have the advanced or more than that, it's a quarter of a magic arrow, which is kind of, ridiculous, but anyway, it's something. So anyway, Chain Lightning, pretty strong, I would say, but unfortunately, the fact that it can jump on your guys means that you can't necessarily spam it every single turn, because based on the positioning of the enemies or how many there are, at some point, it might become just unusable because it jumps onto your guys from the 3rd jump, and that's kind of not great at some point, but you could tank that damage if you really wanted to. Interestingly enough, if you have Dependence of Negativity, apparently it never jumps on your guys, so that's kind of interesting. You could also anti-magic, but that's kind of ridiculous as a setup. Maybe it's just accidentally a side effect. Let's say you use the anti-magic to prevent something else, but then, oh, wait a second, I can use Chain Lightning because it jumps over that guy, and then the next jump is going to go on the enemy as well. I guess in a very fringe case, you could use Chain Lightning to wake up a blinded guy as well, but that's kind of stupid. But anyway, Chain Lightning very strong, but I don't think, sometimes I just don't use it in the later turns, I would say. I just maybe start the first turn, Chain Lightning. Second turn, maybe I Chain Lightning, but then it kind of becomes more difficult to use. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but that's the case in Heroes 2 as well. It's just, you can't use it very well because it jumps on your guys. Anyway, it's a very strong spell, but it costs quite a lot, like 20, even if you have Air Magic. So that being said, I would say Chain Lightning could be A, but potentially lower than Meteor Shower, I would say, because Meteor Shower, even though it doesn't shoot, Meteor Shower is just affecting the 7 hexes and stuff like that, and deals less damage per guy. But Chain Lightning, it's very devastating for that first target, but then once it jumps, it becomes less significant, and it can jump on your guys as well. You could potentially accept that, but it doesn't seem as strong as Meteor Shower, I wouldn't say, but it's still quite up there. Does it make sense? I think so. Next one is Berserker, or actually Berserk. So fire spell, target attacks nearest troop, 1 hex affected, then 2 hexes are affected, and then 3 hexes as a radius are affected. That is ridiculous. It's in Heroes 2, for example, there's only Berserker, which affects, has the basic effect. It's just affecting, well, not 1 hex, but it's just one target, one specific target, right? And that target goes towards the nearest guy, right? And the duration is until it actually reaches something. So that's kind of interesting, or until it gets cured or dispelled or whatever. So that's interesting. Now here, because it's AoE, that's ridiculous, because that means that, again, if you've seen Bleach, it's as if it's Shinji's Bankai come somehow. Yeah, so that is quite ridiculous. In some situations, if the enemy has a ton of army size, let's say, and their stacks are ridiculous, and they're not undead, or they're not immune to mind-affecting spells, if you berserk some hexes, and they fight each other, that's pretty strong. There's a drawback to Berserk, unfortunately. A target could also be a war machine, and that kind of feels bad. Like, I'm pretty sure very recently I used Berserk as a basic effect on an ancient behemoth, and then I thought, oh, wait a second, the nearest target could be the ballista. Please don't attack the ballista, don't attack the ballista. God damn it, man. He attacked the ballista, and that's kind of bad. Anyway, now I'm not so sure about this, but if the guy attacks being berserked and he attacks, does that mean that they lose the turn and the action in that turn? Like, the enemy cannot use that unit again in that turn? Because in other games, like in Heroes 5, I think they don't lose it. It's kind of ridiculous. In Heroes 2, they lose the turn. Here, I'm not so sure. But anyway, even if that happens, it's a pretty interesting spell. It could be a game changer against some guy that has a ton of attack, for example, or stuff like that, you know? And Berserk, yeah. In the worst case scenario, you could use Berserk as I would say a pseudo blind in a sense, because you take away the control over a specific unit, and even if they attack something that's insignificant, it doesn't matter because they didn't get to do anything against you. That's kind of nice. You take them out of the equation in a specific turn. So that's also a super nice benefit, I would say. Now, yeah, I like Berserk. It's quite strong. And the fact that it affects multiple hexes if you have fire magic, that's really interesting. Now, where should I put it, though? Well, Berserk. Well. If you have fire magic, it's pretty ridiculous, I would say. So, unfortunately, I haven't used it much, because in the original campaign, you mostly fight necromancers, so they're immune. But anyway, but you can still use it against them, but it has no effect, as opposed to Heroes 2, where it says, spell will affect no one. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't even let you be a dumbass. But anyway, skill issue, right? Am I right? But anyway, Berserk. Yeah, well, let's see. I would say kind of higher up there. I would say whenever you can actually use it, it's pretty strong, especially with those advanced or expert effects. If you affect just one guy, it's kind of lower because it's so situational. But considering the expert effect, I would put it higher. It could win some battles for you for sure, but especially since the Berserked unit, if it has, let's say, a special effect like a Death Stare or Thunderbird's Lightning Bolt, that can affect the enemy as well. Or even imagine a Unicorn casting a Blind as well, but it's kind of a, it's a low chance of happening, but it's still possible. Or even if somebody, like, I don't know, strikes two hexes or something like that, it could make sense. I don't, maybe, never mind. But still, let's say, damn, could it be better than, let's say, Weakness and Stone Skin and stuff like that? Yeah, dude, it's kind of good, isn't it? Right? In the best possible case scenario, it's pretty good. Most of the time, you can't use it, so it's difficult to rank. But I'd say it can win you some battles, so that could make it higher. Well, it's not higher than Bless and Curse. There's no way. But higher than Bloodlust? No, it's way more usable, Bloodlust. Maybe on par with Frenzy, but that's kind of, like, really, dude? Isn't this kind of convenient? Like, all of them are pretty similar. Like, what the hell? How did this happen? But, okay, maybe there, but I might revisit it later. Okay. Then we have Inferno. Oh man, the meme category again. So, strikes the target hex and all the hexes within 2 hexes for 10x power plus 20, 10x power plus 40, and then plus 80 as well. So it's essentially a larger Fireball. And Fireball is not too strong. Inferno is kind of weak. Yeah, I guess it's the same cost. It deals slightly more damage, I'm pretty sure, like, that magic number is higher. Let's check out Fireball. Yeah, it's 10x power plus 60 only. Oh, wow, what incredible value, right? 20 more damage for the expert as opposed to Fireball. So, yeah, same cost. It's kind of just a little bit improved, an improved Fireball, but it's kind of ridiculous. I can't really put it too high up there, so it's just slightly better than Fireball, but that's pretty much it. It's just kind of a shame. I mean, yeah, it strikes more targets, I guess, but it's not even, as I've said, it's not double damage if you hit 2 hexes, like a Unicorn or something. If you hit both of its hexes, it's not double damage. Kind of bad. That's it, and no, it's just slightly better than Fireball because the cost is the same. In Heroes 2, there's Fireball and Fire Blast. And Fire Blast costs even more. It costs 15, and Fireball... No, wait. It's 12 or 15 or something like that for Fire Blast, and Fireball is 9 mana. And it's just kind of the same thing. It's 10x power, but it affects more hexes. Fire Blast is worse than Fireball in Heroes 2. Here, maybe a little bit better because the mana cost is the same, but since it's, wasting a slot in the level 4 category, you could make the argument that it's worse, but yeah, you know what, it's fine. Next one is Water Walk. The casting hero may follow a movement path across water with 40% penalty, provided the end destination is an unoccupied location on the land. And then 20% penalty and no penalty afterwards. It seems like kind of a meme. I've used it at some point, but the thing is, it's so situational, it's ridiculous, because your destination needs to be on land, which means that you can't just water walk too much. Necessarily, unless you have all the artifacts imaginable that increase movement speed, plus logistics and stuff like that, so you can move a ton. But if there's a huge body of water, you can't go from one coast to another because you can't land there. It's kind of weird. It's very situational. I don't like it. It's wasted space. Water magic, of course, again. This is why water magic is what it is. This is why people don't like it. This is why it's weak. This is why people don't want it. It's just water walk. What a meme. I don't know. In some situations, maybe you can use it, but damn, I would rather have a summon boat for sure and create it for myself. Oh, by the way, mentioning summon boat and scuttlebolt, I think I found some use case for scuttlebolt, which would be if you have summon boat at an advanced level and you create a boat, once you debark, you might just destroy it such that nobody can steal it. I guess you could make that argument. So that being said, let's just rank Water Walk first, and I would say it's kind of a meme, somewhat unusable, maybe let's put it at a C. I've used it sometimes, but nah, I don't like it. It's a huge disappointment if I get it. Depending on the map, obviously, but still. And when it comes to Scuttleboat, because of that newly found, by me at least, a newly found discovery for me, anyway, maybe it would have been obvious for everybody else, but still, I would say slightly better. That's it. There's no way. Like, even that is not too strong, I wouldn't say. It's kind of a meme as well. Anyway, so, yeah. Then we have Slayer. The target allied troops attack rating is increased by 8 against behemoths, dragons, hydras, and those other guys are, I think these are Horn of the Abyss. I don't know about Firebirds, but anyway, whatever. I'm still yet to play Horn of the Abyss. I'm gonna start it soon, maybe. We'll see. Anyway, then the advanced effect also affects devils and angels, and then giants and titans, I guess. Dragon Slayer is kind of a wasted potential, I would say, because 8 extra attack is not that much. Because thing is, you have Bloodlust as well, and Bloodlust affects everybody, and at an expert level, you increase the attack by 6. 6 is pretty close to 8, right? And Slayer is just, man, it costs so much. It's a singular target, by the way, and it just feels kind of bad, because even recently I've played that, what even is it called, man? It's like Dungeons and Dragons, but it's called like Demons and Slayers. I don't know what is it, but it's an Inferno campaign and the Restoration of Erathia expansion, right? And you play with Inferno. So anyway, thing is, first mission, you fight, well, it's an easy mission anyway, but you fight dragons a ton, and you can choose a starting bonus, Slayer. Thing is, at some point, I ditched Slayer and I used Bloodlust. Just because it's mass Bloodlust, plus 6 attack for everybody, and you can attack the same dragon with multiple guys with no fear of retaliation, except for the first actual attack. That seems pretty strong as opposed to using Slayer on just one guy at a time. So I would say that if you really want to use it, first you Bloodlust, and then you use Slayer on your strongest guy, and then you get 14 extra against these specific units. But Slayer's missed potential because I think it's a simple solution for it. Just turn it into a pseudo Bloodlust and also Slayer. Meaning that, let's say, just like Prayer. You know how Prayer has plus 4 attack and defense and then speed. What about Slayer having, let's say, plus 4 attack against everybody and extra 4 attack for behemoths and whatever, or maybe extra 6 attack or something like that to make it better against behemoths and devils and stuff like that? Then it's kind of usable, you know, because problem is, how many times are you fighting exclusively against these creatures? No, if you're fighting against a hero, let's say, yeah, they might have devils and stuff like that, but they have other creatures as well. So what are you going to do? I'm using Slayer, and what if somebody attacks me that's not a devil? Then what? I have no extra attack whatsoever against that. But oh man, against the devil, I mean, it's not even that much, like 8 attack. That means that best case scenario, you would offset that damage modifier by 40%, worst case scenario by 20% only, if there's some damage reduction anyway going on. Is that so? I mean, it's strong for sure, but it's so too situational. I don't like Slayer. It's kind of a meme. It's really like the fact that I used Bloodlust against specifically dragons, which Slayer is supposed to be specialized against, and I used another spell for that. Like that's insane. Slayer. Oh, what a meme! What a meme! Jesus Christ! Is it more of a meme than Water Walk? No, I don't think so. I might use it, but definitely not before I haste, prayer, I don't know, let's say bless, and bloodlust / precision or something like that, and maybe I do use Slayer afterwards. That's ridiculous. Maybe more than not even more than Counter-Strike, then that's ridiculous. No way. Like, and this is even me being very lenient and charitable as well, because I could easily put it at a D and nobody would bat an eye. But let's say a C-. And the last one is Resurrection. So the target allied living troop with dead creatures has 50 X power plus 40 health worth of creatures restored to life for the duration of the current battle. And that's the basic effect, but the advanced effect heals slightly more, but also, well, slightly, I mean 40 more, but the effect is permanent. That's the biggest change there. And also the expert effect heals 50 X power plus 160, and it's also permanent. Dude, Resurrection is super strong. It's like Animate Dead, but for everybody that's not undead. Or, or not a golem and whatever, elementals and stuff like that. That's pretty strong. And also you can use it as a heal as well. Just, it doesn't need to die. You can heal the guy. Just if it suffered some casualties, even one, even though you wouldn't use it then, but still, you can use the Resurrection to heal it. That's kind of nice. Thing is, there's a huge difference between the basic and the advanced effect, because if the duration is temporary, that's not great, and it also works in a very, I would say, unintuitive way. So, here we go. Let me explain, because to me it was not what I was expecting, and, well, I've seen this in Heroes 2, and I've tested it in Heroes 3, and it works in the same way. So, if you have the basic effect, unfortunately, the game calculates the difference between the initial stack and how many died in total, and that's what you retain. Which means that, okay, normal scenario would be, let's say I have 10, I don't even know, Minotaurs, let's say. Weird example, but okay. 10 Minotaurs, I lose 2, I have 8, right? I resurrect with a basic effect, now I have 10. Battle ends, I retain 8. That's perfectly fine, that makes sense. However, what happens if I have 10, I lose 2, I resurrect, I lose 2 again, and I resurrect again, and then the battle ends? Because I would have expected to retain 8, because I never dropped below 8. I always lost 2 at a time only. But that's not what happens. You retain 6, and that's okay-ish, but I would have expected the minimum, because that makes more intuitive sense to me, but I don't know, it's kind of debatable. It's not wrong how they've implemented it, but it's kind of weird. Because, if you think about it, the side effect is this. Well, there are actually some edge cases here, but anyway. A creature it's possible for a creature to not die during a battle, but it dies afterwards. Now that's kind of stupid. Let's say 10 Minotaurs, you lose 5, you resurrect, you lose 5 again, you resurrect. Battle ends, you have no Minotaurs. That's kind of weird, but okay, fine. Or, here's an example. This is something I haven't tested in Heroes 3, but in Heroes 2, this is how it works, and I'm 99% sure it must be the same thing here. But anyway, you have 2 creatures. Let's say it's kind of situational, but still, I have 1 Titan and 1, Mage, or something like that, let's say. Okay, and let's say Titan dies, I resurrect him with a basic effect. Mage dies, I resurrect him. Battle ends, what happens? Well, I would have expected the hero itself to die, because that's how it works, right? It's just, I should retain 0. But in Heroes 2, you still retain, I think it's like the leftmost guy, or the guy who died the first, or something like that, or who got resurrected the first, or I don't know exactly. But anyway, it's kind of strange, because it's an edge case. Here, it might actually be the same thing, but I don't know, I haven't tested it yet. I could do it, but well, let's try it. Okay, boys, I've used some cheats. Let's see it. So, 2 Archangels, right? This guy is almost about to die, so let's just see it happening. 11, come on, man. Okay, one died. I have a basic resurrection as well, so let's just see it. One died, now I resurrect him. Now this guy needs to die. 90 health. Let's see, a full arrow there. Once he dies, I can resurrect him again, then win the battle, and then we'll see. So, yeah, I'm expecting Jalu to not die, but one of the Archangels to still be retained, even though I used normal resurrection on both. So let's just see it. Can this actually work? Let's see, the moment of truth, boys. Okay, now what happens? One died. There we go. I can't die. I can't die. There you go. So they didn't change it. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's an edge case, but it's interesting to consider as well. Anyway, the thing is, the advanced effect is so good because it's permanent. So this is a huge justification to get Earth Magic for sure, because this is a game changer for sure. You don't lose guys. That's nice. So this is one of the strongest spells in the game. So I would say Resurrection, definitely super strong. So I would say it's kind of like Animate Dead, but better, because more factions can benefit from this. However, it's a higher level spell, and yeah, the effect is kind of the same, like 50x power plus 160 or something like that. So yeah, very nice. Is it better than Blind and stuff like that? Again, it kind of really depends. Like, is Resurrection kind of helping you win some battles? Yes. Is Blind helping you win some battles? Yes, for sure. It's really debatable. Hell, I don't know. But, damn. Kind of maybe just very close to Animate Dead, potentially. Seems fine. Thing is, I don't... here's the thing that's a little bit strange when it comes to Earth Magic. Anti-Magic, you know, has these levels, like basic effect prevents spells of levels 1, 2, 3, right? Then it's the 4th added, and then the 5th level spells. That means that if you would be okay with a normal resurrection that's not permanent, but that's kind of bad, you could use resurrection on a guy who has anti-magic on him, provided it's a basic anti-magic. That's kind of interesting. Or also, I think if the Master Genie, let's say, uses a random spell, if that spell is a basic level 1, that means you could resurrect permanently a guy with anti-magic, but that's super situational. But anyway, I'm not going to dwell too much on these edge cases. Yes, for sure. Everything else doesn't matter. All right, well, there you go. Those were the level 4 spells. Let me know what you disagree with, and join me next time to add the final spells to this tier list. Okay, I'll see you then.